heard about customer lifecycle marketing, we've heard about product-led marketing, and we've heard about the perfect funnel. Next up, we have the COO of Prezi, Jim Szafranski, and he's going to talk about the way that you can grow demand, not just by widening the top of the funnel, but also by increasing your conversion rate. And so he's going to share some of those lessons that he's learned from scaling Prezi to more than 100 million users by improving conversion rates and then expanding broader demand.
Okay, thanks, Kim. And given that the conference is about growth, I imagine many of you have had the opportunity to experience something like this or are worried about it, which is when you start your business. Obviously, in the early days, we've talked a lot about product market fit and things like that. There's limited demand. You're trying to figure out, does anybody out here want what we're looking for? And then whenever you tip over those early customers, you actually start getting okay conversion rates, right? And so this is a good start. There's a lot of potential to your idea, to our idea, right? And then something inevitably tends to happen often, which is as you try to, really scale the impact, really scale the potential of your business, your conversion rates come down, right? In some ways it's math, but there's a lot more to it also, right? And so at Prezi, for those that you know, this is an early version of Prezi. We're a presentation platform. We're using it here. A few other people were. So this was our early version, and as we got Prezi started, this is what our curve looked like. We had the blessing of a blue line that was going way up and to the right, the demand for our product. We had over 500 million visitors coming to our website within a couple of years of getting this thing started every year. But you can see on the yellow side, into that demand, we were every day steadily, our conversion rates were declining. We were growing nice, but we thought we could grow better, right? And so 2 years ago, we built a new product. Right? And in building that new product, we also asked ourselves on the customer acquisition front, can we keep scaling the demand and it actually improve these conversion rates, or really a thorn in our side, right? And so we built a new product. It might be hard to tell here, but it's got a lot more structure to it, and I think you'll feel that as we go throughout this story and theme. But so we built the new product, and the good news is we were able to keep the demand scaling, and we actually turned around the conversion rates. And so what I'd like to do today is share it with you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves a bit, share with you some very specific tactics that we did to sort of try to, and how we moved our conversion rates back up. Right? Felt like we won a prize, but we're still work in progress. But again, what I'll try to do is, I think we know what we did, and we'll share that today. Right? So to get started, the way we really thought about how do we improve our customer acquisition, it was kind of two sides. There was first thinking about scaling the demand that we were creating, right? And then improving the conversion rates into that, those two curves, right? We really thought that what we had seen is these things weren't working together in a way, right? As we got more demand, our conversions were going down. We wanted them to work like this, right? We wanted them to be two gears of the same system, right? And so we really focused hard on this. And I will say, just something as simple as this, taking two opposing lines and trying to figure out how do they work together, and then having a framework like this so we can talk about inside our business, it did wonders just talking about it this way. As an example, for instance, whenever, when we were building user experiences in product, targeting sort of conversions and trying to get people to buy the darn thing, use it, it was really nice to think at the same time about the demand and the audience we were going after, right? And the product positioning. And what we've actually seen is when we nail that, when the product feature and the product positioning and the audience is right, the holy grail happens for us, which is product usage goes up, right? And we can think about scaling a business around revenue and bookings, but really the thing that's really going to scale the business is the usage of the products you and we are building, right? And so when we get it both right, it really works. And so here's how we think about demand at Prezi. Really two main engines, right, to driving this gear. One is we really try to design in a network effect. There's been some conversations today about sort of product is a real key part of the growth strategy, obviously. We agree with that. And then also then just serving more markets. It sounds like bread and butter, but so can we, if we're not in a certain market, can we be in that market, right? And so on the network effect, the way it works for us, and so at Prezi, we have a freemium product, if you don't know. So the way our network effect works is if you use our free product, right? Then your Prezi, your presentation becomes part of what is now the world's largest database of online presentations, right? There's 400 million presentations in our database contributed by our free users. And the cool thing about that then is for our users is others can copy, reuse parts of it, use it for inspiration in your demand, and that just kind of cycles and keeps making this library grow, right? And then the way this network effect works for us is not just as the library growing, but so we use it in all kinds of ways. One of the ways is this is crawlable by Google even, right? And so as in this example, if someone's searching on artificial intelligence, they can get all kinds of Prezis on it, and so that attracts more users to us, right? And so the way this network effect works, obviously, again, we have a free product. We have them contribute to the business in some way, which is a database that other users can use, which also then contributes to our growth by attracting more users. And today, this is now 1 billion visitors a year come to this library, and we can't stop it, actually. It's a key engine of our growth, and it's been designed that way, right? The network effect was thought of, and we double down on it as much as we can every day. The second thing around growth is simple, just serving more markets, right? And so like many North American, we're a US headquartered company, a lot of operations in Europe though, but we started the usual English-speaking locations, right? And then as we could take on more markets and we wanted to keep going, we did the Western Europe, Japan, kind of classic high conversion rate areas. And then it's unique probably to Prezi, I don't know if all technology companies here do this, but then we ended up in really strong kind of Central and South America focus and expansion. But so we had moments, and I think for the first 5 years it was just the English-speaking markets. But then as we've been trying to scale our demand, and serving more markets, we've been expanding like this. This has worked out really well for us, to give you a sense. I'll talk about how we did it. But now today, over 50% of our business, our revenues are international, not US based. So now, but it's more than obviously just localizing your website, right, or changing a part of your product, right? And so for us, it was all the product support, all the marketing and website support. For instance, when we run a marketing program now, we do 29 versions of it, and we do it on every single one, every one. Right? No, like, oh, well, we're not going to do this one in Mexico. No, we got to do it for all our users, right? And so it becomes part of the core operations of the company, right? And currency support, which is really hard to get right, actually. You think, hey, I'm going to offer British pounds, right? They're going to love it. Actually, they don't. Your conversions go down. You have to re-optimize everything around things like that, right? And then if you're in a business marketplace, you need channel partners because they're not going to buy from you in Brazil. Who are you, Prezi? In the US? I need to buy from someone in Brazil. Right? But so for us, as we expanded in these markets, it wasn't just a marketing exercise of changing the website, right? It was a real commitment to do this all the way through to language support throughout our company. And so if I could offer you kind of one bit of advice as you are thinking about growing through serving new markets, it would be get one right. And really make sure you want to hire support people and salespeople. You want to do that. You want to do it all end to end and get it right, because we all know how important user experience is. But this has been a great part of our growth, right? Not just having a network effect that's kind of fueling sort of the demand in the company, but also then just keep taking it to new markets. And it's dramatic difference for us on sort of conversion rates and the whole thing when you do it, full stack, let's say, full stack international expansion. Okay, so that's great. In the sense, you may say, okay, great, you got, you're scaling, you got 1 billion people coming to your website every year, cool. But that yellow line didn't look so good, and it didn't, right? We were still growing, but we felt like we could do better. And so, we realized about 3 years ago that tune-up was required. It was a combination of product and marketing. But how did we get here? Like, why did it keep going down? And what was fascinating as we looked into it, right, is when we got started, and many of you may know Prezi, may have different opinions of it, and for those of you that know us, you probably didn't meet us in the workplace, right? But actually where we got started was actually business users, right? Prezi was founded in 2009. There was no funding available, right? We needed money right away. We had to sell this thing. Even though we were freemium, it was all about selling the product because that was the only way to fund the business, right? And so early on, actually the growth and the success of Prezi was on the back of business users. But as we talked about, we had this network effect. So we had free users. We couldn't control who used it, right? And it started spinning and going really well, the way the viral loop worked. And then all this international expansion. And it turned out actually, for those of you who know us, no surprise, all that growth, so much of it was students. Right? But that's not actually what we were designed for. That actually wasn't what was driving our business forward. But all of a sudden we had, hundreds of millions of students coming up. It felt great, right? It felt so good. We were helping students, right? We were expanding around the world, right? So we started doing marketing programs. We had student ambassadors on every campus. We had power user teachers, coming in helping us understand how to do better in education, right? Partnerships, new technology things. And so we were just putting so much focus into the student thing, even so far as to working with the U.S. administration. We gave away $100 million of software to underprivileged schools, right? That's our CEO with Barack Obama. Like, we really did a program with the White House. It was awesome, but the thing we did is actually we ended up taking our eye off the ball because our power users, our core users, the people that buy Prezi and the people that got us started were business users, right? And that's why our conversion rates just came down. So what I'd like to do is share a couple examples of, so how do we get our eye back on the ball? What did we do, right? And so how do we get that conversion rate turned back up? Simply, obviously, focus on the segment that got us there, our business users, but not just focusing our marketing efforts, but also start investing more in them, whether it was through user experiences or whether it was the value prop we offer, right? And so some simple things. Our website got blue. How many people have a blue and white website in the room, right? If you want to sell to business, you should have a blue and white website, right? It went so bad that they even hired me out of Big Blue. After my company got bought by IBM, I was only there for about a year, but they even hired a guy from IBM. Like, we got blue, right? We named our product Prezi Business. Shocker, how much that helps. Oh, I didn't know you had a business product. Oh, God, right? And then we just started, promoting our customers, Airbus, Cisco, all these people that were using product. We did all these types of things, and it worked, to be frank. It really helped. We even did something crazier. We raised our price. Any wine drinkers in the room? It worked. It was all these things, a blue website, a name, all these things, a higher price. It was a signal. Oh, okay. Like, they care about us. They care about our needs, right? This is a business product, right? And the amazing thing for us is actually the students didn't leave us. And so for those of you that are further up the growth curve, I think Karen asked earlier, there's people in the 10 or $50 million range. As you're growing and collecting more users, just continue to ask yourself, who got you there, right? And if it ain't broke, maybe don't fix it. Because the funny thing is what we realized is the students really wanted to be on a business product. So we had it all wrong. Right? They're in school to go get jobs. They want to be using business tools. They didn't want to use a kid's tool, right? And so it was just amazing how this kind of led to one thing after another. But we did more than just a fresh coat of paint and raising our price. We're a little more sophisticated. I like to think so, right? And so we have all these hundreds of millions of users coming in our front door of marketing and into the product. And what we've been doing is really focusing that also, right? And so we're even trying to leverage that viral loop and focus it. And so now when you come into Prezi, there's hundreds of landing pages, our front doors, that are really trying to offer you very specific business content, very specific business solutions, right? And in this case, like for instance, you can come in and if you're doing a sales kickoff, for any of you have a sales team and you got to do the annual kickoff, right? Like you can find us and you can get going that way, right, with that annual sales kickoff template. And what we've seen is this offers us a 6x improvement on our conversion rates. The more and more and more we get narrow. Right? And so what we're doing now, as opposed to offering, book report templates, we're going to avoid that this time, right? We're going to keep going deeper. We don't have financial service industry page yet, right? To help the bankers that want to use Prezi with all those details, right? We don't have a pharmacy one yet, right? So we're going to keep investing and deepening that experience to take people from a marketing, into product. And our inspiration here, I think, this might be interesting to some of you. So Airbnb is our inspiration on this, right? And so they have really expanded the way in which they're getting their content out to their user base, right? And so this is a one-bedroom Marina District apartment in San Francisco, right? So you can find it that way by saying San Francisco Marina apartment. Or maybe you're just, or you can find it in a nearby page, right? Or now you can find it in a neighborhood page, right? Or you could find it in the San Francisco page, right? Or maybe you don't even know where you're going to travel to, so you're trying to pick cities, right? It's all the same thing, recycled 5 different ways for 5 different, ways in which where they are in that journey of understanding your company. And so this is the way we're thinking about continuing to narrow down the front door into Prezi. Okay, and so to wrap up then also, we've been growing our value proposition. Nothing here I can teach you guys. We're in some ways just catching up. But the way we think about this, one is we start offering solutions that businesses need, like analytics, right? This has been a real unlock for us to actually provide analytics on how the presentation's going, which ones work better and which sales deals and things like that, right? And then a lot of the basics you would expect, collaboration tools, right? So people can collaborate while building one. Managing that library. We have a whole bunch of people managing our library. How about Airbus managing theirs with content controls and things like that, all the way down to the table stakes of security, right? So we've done a lot on adding value also into the business space. So that's kind of what we did to kind of turn that conversion rate so that as we continue to try to grow the top line of the business and the demand for us, also how to improve, the conversion of our users. And if I left you with one thing, and even I think Dave from Trade Desk talked about maniacal focus. He did an IPO for $7 million, I think, or something. That's insane, right? And I think Samir talked about it at SendGrid too. They talked a lot about focus, and that's the one thing I'd leave with you guys. As you're scaling and you're having success, just like we at Prezi, we were collecting all these logos on our shirt. What we realized is we focused it down, right? The business improved. So, thanks for having me, and I hope you found something in there interesting.
I need some traction. You need some traction. Let's get some traction.